Okay, I'm looking at Jake.
Why are we here?
All right, well, how about this? My name is John Farmer, spelled John-Farmer, and I'm a PGE spokesman. So, the reason we're here is last week was a big week. We had a lot of outages, a lot of power restorations, and we are tracking another weather system coming our way on Wednesday. Our meteorologists tell us that this is going to be a pretty significant wind event. We're anticipating high winds throughout our service area from the kind of late morning into mid-afternoon. And I think the thing that everyone's got going on in their mind right now is, man, this is tough timing. This is tough. We had a big week last week, and we're looking at more winter weather coming our way in a few days. But we do have a few days to prepare, and so that's what we're asking for your help with, is to get the word out, just like we are, to share with customers that there are things PGE is doing to prepare for the weather coming our way, but there's also things that our customers and your viewers can do as well to prepare. So the things that PGE is doing right now when it comes to preparing and planning for Wednesday's weather event, number one, is we are looking at all of our staffing, materials, resources, all of that stuff, all of which will be ready to go by the time the wind is supposed to come to us. And when we say staffing, we're looking at crews, who's available. Like I said, the timing is pretty tough. We've got holiday, it's the week of the holidays. People have events, parties, dinners, all of these family gatherings that everyone's planning for. But you know what? That's something that we take into account, and we are going to work as quickly as we can to get everyone's power back on if and or when power does go out. So think about that. Supplies and materials. You know, last week we used a lot of power poles, a lot of cables, but we still have plenty of material, plenty of supplies ready to go if and when we have to use it. And so those are some of the things when you look at some of the operational plans we're doing. But also we have our meteorologists and our emergency management teams who are working right now to actively monitor the weather hour by hour. In fact, we have a meeting later this afternoon to just see how things are looking, how the models are shaping up. And then when it comes to how customers can prepare, the ways we encourage folks to be prepared, and again, because we have a couple days notice right now, there's really three things. The first thing is the outage plan. So what are you going to do if your power goes out? Where are you going to go? Whose house are you going to stay at? And again, I know this is probably compounded for some folks because they've got company staying with them, they've got, you know, friends and family from out of town. So all the more reason to have those outage plans, those emergency plans really thought through. And the second thing is the outage kit. So if that power goes out, do you have food, water, batteries, flashlights, things like that? We have a really big list on portlandgeneral.com. There's a lot of great resources out there, so use this time to have your outage kit ready to go. And then the third thing that we recommend is to really encourage folks to make sure their contact information is up to date with PGE, so we can reach out to you with notifications and information. So I'll pause there. That was a lot of information. What questions or follow-ups?
Areas a little more prone to having outages?
Yeah, for sure. So PGE has actually a heavily forested service area. We have a lot of trees in our service area. This weather system is different than last week's, and again, my meteorologist used a lot of terms. You might need to talk to your meteorologist about it, but the difference is last week this was a frontal passage, or a frontal system that was not necessarily a storm system, whereas what we're expecting on Wednesday is a storm system. And what we're expecting on Wednesday is going to impact, or is forecasted to impact, the entire West Coast. It's going to work its way up California, up through Oregon, and into Washington. And so when we look at potential impacts to PGE and other utilities in the area, it is across our entire service area. And we have there's an outline of our service area on our outage map, but just for reference, our service area is basically from Forest Grove in the west to Mount Hood in the east, and from the Columbia River River there in Portland in the north down to Salem in the south. So it's a pretty big swath of land. It represents almost 2 million people, and so there's a lot of people that we provide power for.
And for those down power lines that people see, I'm sure there's going to be cases where you guys are not aware of where you're down. Should they call you, and then what should they do being around those lines?
Yeah, so great question. So the safety piece here is absolutely critical. If there's one clip that you use from this entire interview, it is that you should never go near a down power line. Always treat power lines as if they are live. So like in the movies, you see them sparking and sizzling. They don't have to do that to be live and to be putting out energy. So stay away, stay well away. If you don't know that it's a power line, it might be a phone line, that's okay. Pretend it's a power line. Stay away. Call 911 first, let them know, and then call PGE.
Areas, you might see a lot of wooded areas. Are your meteorologists talking about, can they tell like Portland compared to say somewhere on the coast? Are they able to tell you it may be worse? And
yeah, I think what you see is sometimes you see that areas in the gorge get a lot of wind. The Columbia Gorge gets a lot of wind, I think, naturally. But what we're seeing with this is the wind is going to come out of the gorge in that early morning, but then it will shift coming up the coast there, and so the winds we're forecasting for kind of southerly winds coming at us. But when you look at the modeling, I was on the call with my meteorologist earlier this morning. It's just our entire service area. It's the whole thing, and it just goes right up from south to north, and it keeps on going into Washington. So, like I said, this is we're planning for this to be a potential impact system-wide.
And does your modeling ever predict outages? Like you expecting maybe a 5,000?
It's hard. So there's a lot of historical information that our meteorologists use to help us plan. So our meteorologists are the ones who come to the operations team and say, hey, here's what we're seeing. Here's kind of the thing that we need to plan for. It's less about the number of outages and the actual level or severity of impact from the weather event itself. So in this case, our meteorologists said we're going to see high winds, and we all know that high winds translates to trees and branches coming down and sometimes taking power lines with them. And so I think the number one, we take every potential weather event very seriously. But this week I think there's an added element to it. We have the holidays, and it is, and we just had the outages last week. So I think we are taking advantage of the time we have now to give folks that as much warning and kind of advanced planning as possible to say, there's a lot of extra compounding factors going on right now, especially this week with the holidays, and so we really want to make sure everyone is as prepared as possible.
Would you say you guys are trying to take more precautions with this because of the fact that there's so much moisture in the ground right now, and then you add that wind?
Yeah, so we had that atmospheric river last week, and the Pacific Northwest is a wet place. I'm a native Oregonian. I know how much rain we can get around here, and all of those, when the rain really gets into the soil after a while, it does loosen up the soil. And so when we have those southerly winds, it can impact trees a little more than it would, say, in like August or September.
Right, we'll stop.
Okay.
Thank you.
Keep going on.
I think we got it all. We made sure the safety piece. We're watching the weather. Yeah, like I said, we got a call this afternoon, to kind of just see what Mother Nature's up to. So we're going to keep our eyes on it the whole time.